Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, nerd and nerdettes. Dude, no. What? It's like the most cliche leather cuirass you can possibly get, like, anywhere. I mean, so? Well, I mean, well, like, it looks cool, right? Right? I mean, does it look cool? If I'm honest, all right, okay, yeah, all right. If I'm honest, it looks a little cool. Still cliche, like, but just a little bit cool. Yeah, exactly, that's what I thought. That's why Hollywood uses leather armor, because it looks cool. I mean, now be quiet, quiet. It's not your video, Slinger. Let it go. It's my time. All right, so today we are testing curved sword versus straight sword here. So this is an Egyptian Khopesh here. From chariots probably is the most recognizable Egyptian weapon. It is a curved sword. This one's of course not bronze, but the idea is that the curve helps with a better cutting edge. I got this from Quilted Athena. I also have an affiliate link down there, so if you want to buy something for a loved one, be sure to check that one for the holidays because I get some money for it.
Hello, I like money.
But regardless, that's all for that. Now what we're going to be doing for this video is testing the strength and capabilities of a straight sword like a Spatha here versus a curved sword against the linothorax. If you missed the previous video I did when I did the spear and the sling against the glued and non-glued linothorax, I said at the end of that video, I'm going to test the melee weapons. So these are the two that I chose here. Here is more of a slashing sword than a gladius per se, but it's the best one I have. This one's from Albion. So I'm going to set those up here and we're going to test and see how these do against glued and unglued linothorax, 29 linen layers. See how they perform against it with a slash versus a stab. First up here we have the 29 layered glued linen. Again, this was made by Faithful Force, so thank you to him. When I did the sling and the spear, this did not perform as well as the quilted. So I'm going to test and see how it does with a thrust from the Spatha, a slash, and then I'm going to try the Khopesh and see how it does with that, just to kind of get an idea of how the linen fabric would do against weapons of the time. Again, these are made with carbon steel, so it's a little bit different, but I think it'll still get a good analogy for how it would perform. All right, so before I take this off, I'm going to test it with the Khopesh as well. But those both went through and through. I can feel it came out the back here, so a nice clean puncture, and then right here as well, a nice clean puncture there. So not as deep as when I threw the spear into it, but about the same as when I had the spear thrust. So the problem that I see with the Khopesh is just like it's a slashing sword, and I don't know if I'm able to cut into these glued layers very well. And I'll see how that works. So as far as what we're working here with our results, the two thrusts from the Spatha, the first one was here, and you can see that came in through the back right about there. So it was enough to absorb enough impact to where it's a small puncture as opposed to basically going through and through someone that would decelerate enough to where it would be a surface wound. The second one was right here. Similar story, same story, right in there. It ended right in that spot. And again, that was actually not as much. I got to resharpen it. It dulls it pretty quick. The first one was the most significant right in here. And that was my best one, and that's about as deep as I get into it there. With the Khopesh, against like a slashing thing, you can see the results were here. I basically was able to kind of punch into that first layer just a little bit, but there wasn't anything much beyond that. Now I'd be curious, I'm gonna try and come down on top of it to see if that does any difference, as if it's like in the shoulder part. But just like from a forward slash in there, getting as much as a cutting motion as I can, that's not getting very, very deep. It's really not getting much past the first 2 layers in there. Now that was actually super, super cool. Now again, this is the glued linothorax 29 layers of linen. That first cut right here, you can see that basically made it, I would say, to the very last one. That is the last little bit right there. So I was almost through and through on that downward cut, which I really did not expect, to be honest. So right there, I did not expect that at all. That's as deep as you can go without going all the way through. The second one, I didn't hit it as well. Still probably went through about 10 or so layers right there. But that first one, man, that was super duper cool. I honestly didn't expect that. And when I hit it, I felt it sink in, which was really cool as well. So the Khopesh versus this did great. And again, it's got a heavier weight, a heavier half. There's more mass coming down with it. And it cut in there very, very well. So that was cool to see. Now the quilted. So now we have the quilted linothorax. Last time I did this with the spear, there were some really surprising results with the spear bouncing out, not being able to make it through well. So I'm super curious to see how the Spatha does against it with the thrust. And then I'm also curious to see how the Khopesh will do with the slash as well, especially coming over top of it. I don't have much hope for it coming across the side here. But over top against the glued, I'm curious how that's going to translate out to impact. Again, this is 29 quilted layers of linen. So I'm not sure if you can tell on the video, but I was not able to get either of those completely all the way through. It looks like the previous ones here from Paper 4, so I got one there through, but I was not able to get that all the way through. Again, this is less of a thrusting sword. Again, this is less of a thrusting sword, more of a slashing sword, so it's not built as well with that pointed tip. But even so, I was not able to go all the way through in this here. So let's try slashing now. All right. Oh, that was cool. All right, so here we go. First strike right here, basically through almost everything. Second strike right here, cut through all 29 layers very, very well. You can see all of them right in here. And that was a bit of a surprise to me just because of the way that the linen works. I didn't expect that to happen, especially with the spear struggling the way it did. Maybe it has to do with the sharpness of my equipment as it stands right now. But it's just crazy because you have this big, big cutting edge right here. And that's one of the benefits of a curved blade, right? Is that it kind of self-corrects or self-aligns when you go down. So your edge alignment doesn't have to be perfect. But this one right here was enough to go through and through all of it right there and poked in through here. Now, again, the impact's gonna be significant as well because it's not hardened. So you're really gonna feel that. And there's a very real possibility it's gonna cut through into you and into some flesh as well. So it's not gonna be an insta-kill, but again, in those times, infections, things like that, any sort of little cut's gonna be dangerous. That was so cool though. I'm so excited. That's amazing. All right, so the next thing I wanna do is I have this ash shaft. So I use this for the spears. A lot of times I've tested against the 1.5 hand sword to see if you can slice through it, things like that. I wanna test it against this here, which is more of a cutting blade. Now, disclosure, you should not go outside and use swords and sharp things without shoes on, but I'm a big boy, I'll live the results if I have to, and if anyone's gonna hurt me, it's my wife. But we're gonna test and see. I'm gonna try a slash here and see how well I can get into this ash shaft. To be fair here, well, this one here was a really good one. It kind of came upwards on it, right in there. That cut in pretty deep. The ones that were straight slashes were right here. You can see those went just a little bit in. So I think directionally, for sure, I was able to get a better cutting motion than coming straight down, more of a slashing motion against the ash shaft. But again, this is a one-handed weapon. So wrist strength and everything, it's gonna have a lot less power than a two-handed swing. So I think it still did very well against it. But overall, you just kind of don't have that same strength and power with that one hand and that wrist as it kind of moves. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to get through this well, but that was good right there. That was an admirable cut. Just I'm curious to see, I want to test this Albion sword here. I'm a little reticent to put it through rigorous testing because this is one of the most expensive things that I have, but it's only fair, I think, against the ash shaft to see how this performs as well. Be good, I promise. I'll clean you later. Don't fall apart. Okay, so with the Spatha, the first one here, it's not a great cut. I think I hit it at a bad spot, just bounced a little bit. And again, it's not like a cutting down sword. It's not like an executioner's sword. The second one here, which was a slash, you can really see how much sharper it is in the depth that it got. It may have been a little shallower as well. I'll have to watch it back and see, but this one here was a little deeper. This was a little shallower and it kind of followed along there, but it was a longer cut as well. So again, thanks for hanging on there. But you can just kind of see the differences in the way they're designed. One, it kind of came in there and it twisted my wrist a little bit to kind of follow along in that spot. And this one here was a heavier, just thud of an impact, to where it was just an initial slash, great for deep cutting, but not so much for long range, and definitely not for thrusting as well. But both of them did well. This thing's worse for wear though. So what is better, curved sword or straight sword? Well, the answer is it depends. Of course, on the armor you're facing against, what time, what period of history you are in. You can see the swords in the medieval times taper down to a finer point when plate became more readily available and mail was harder to slash through, or mail's impossible to slash through, basically. Oh, clean. Oh, that hurt. I can feel it. Oh, this one here is definitely good for the time. If you have linen armor, and things as well, because with this one here, if you're slashing down, there's a lot less mass behind it. It's not gonna cut into that linen armor as deep as opposed to this one here, which really was able to go through all the 29 layers of quilted linen and cut through glued armor exceptionally well also. So if you were wearing some sort of linen armor or linothorax, regardless of the way it's constructed, this is gonna make its way through, and it's heavier with more mass, and that coming down is gonna have more concussive impact, concussive injury, and it's gonna cause a lot of problems. So thanks again to Fateful Force, and again, Cult of Athena, have the affiliate link down below. If you wanna buy something from them for Christmas, be sure to use it so that way I get stuff. Merry early Christmas and happy Thanksgiving as well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked that one, be sure to check out the one I just did with the whistling ledge shot. I thought it was really cool, but I don't think a lot of people have seen that one. So check that one out here, because that was a fun video to do and a fun build. So check that one out if you have time. And if not, just want to say a special thank you to everyone who's following along and commenting. You guys are making this so much fun just to nerd out and share online. It's a crazy thing. It's a crazy thing, and I appreciate everyone who engages. So thank you, and thanks, guys. You guys are the best.